Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. Today we're going to talk about an old revolver, 1968, aka the Joe Friday Special. This is a Model 10 snub nose revolver. Now look at that thing. Isn't that a beautiful gun? It's like what Smith & Wesson used to make. Very smooth trigger and action. Of course, I have a safety snap from Zeta 6. Now, why the Joe Friday Special? Well, Joe Friday was a fictional TV detective from the 60s and the 70s. He was badge 714 Los Angeles Police Department. He was very hard-nosed, tough, but fair. Just the facts, man. A lot of us who went into law enforcement back in the 70s, 80s grew up watching reruns of the old Dragnet TV show. So let's talk about this beautiful Model 10. Now, why name this gun the Joe Friday Special? Well, Joe, in the first rendition of Dragnet in black and white, Joe carried a Smith & Wesson Chief Special. However, when they rebooted the show and started shooting it in color, Joe carried a Model 10 Snubby like this, except with a round butt. Now, as you can see, I've got a Tyler T on this to kind of fill the grip up a little bit. Actually, not Tyler T, but a BK grip, which I actually like better than the Tyler T's. Now, these are made of polymer, but they do give the gun a better grip over the old metal fillers. And the reason I say this is because the polymer has just a little bit of give to it. Now, Smith & Wesson made millions of Model 10s or the hand ejector over the decades. They didn't make a lot of these. These guns were usually made for different police departments, for their plainclothes detectives. And the United States Army had used these for a couple of reasons. The helicopter pilots and crew in Vietnam, a lot of them carried the snub-nosed Model 10s. And your Army intelligence operatives who worked in plain clothes, they carried the Smith & Wesson Model 10 back in the day. A lot of investigators with police departments around the country, in plain clothes, carried the Model 10 Snub. And I am carrying it today. And this is an interesting story here about this holster. This was one I ordered back during COVID, especially for this gun. And the one that they sent me, this isn't a Zula holster, but the one they sent me did not fit correctly. The gun rode real low in it and it didn't retain it. So I took a picture of the gun in the holster. I sent it to a Zula, and I assume I corresponded with Bob, the owner of the company, and he said, yes, that holster doesn't look right. He said, send it back and we'll already be sending you another one. And they did. And this is one I've put to very good use for this gun and my Model 66 snub-nose revolver. Now, one thing I will say about the Zula holsters with the bands, they retain the gun very well. It's kind of a retention strap without a retention strap. And there's a trick to drawing the gun. You have to bring it up alongside your body to get the gun out, as opposed to just trying to jerk it out. You have to draw just like that. And once again, with that BK grip, it fills the hand. So I'm going to shoot the gun. We're going to do some more shooting at close quarters. And I want you to, I'm going to talk, no music, shooting, and then a little bit of talk explaining what I'm doing. Because I truly believe that snub-nose revolvers are the ultimate close quarter carry gun. Once again, duty size gun, however, snub nose to be able to pull it out of concealment rather easily. So let's go to the shooting. All right, this is at 3 yards. Now the first one, I was once again, you got to make yourself not aim. And I was thinking about that third shot. But I hit this one, and then hit way down here. Then with two hands, I went there. All right, now, second round. I made myself relax because the thing is, you don't want to aim the gun. You don't want to think about aiming the gun. You just want to look at where you want to hit. I did much better, and then one-handed right there. I think jumping the gun and thinking about that two-handed grip probably messed me up on that first string. All right, this was at 5 yards with a side step to the left. Now here was good. Up here I got his eye. One of the problems of shooting a flat target and shooting at an angle, you have to make some small adjustments. And my aim point was here, but you see, because once again, I'm shooting at an angle, I moved it over. But once again, that's with a flat target. Now let's do it from the right. Side step to the left. Somebody has a gun. They normally shoot low and to their right. All right, so you're trying to get out of the way of potential shots. If somebody's swinging a machete, an axe, or some type of bladed object overhand, you want to step to the right. Now we're just going to have to pretend our assailant had some type of bladed weapon. And here's our first two shots right there. So we got a nice little group right there. So for that one and that one. And then we got him right between the eyes. All right, we're going to go back to 7 yards and we're just going to shoot straight forward. All right, 7 yards. Let's go check on our target. Two, three, aside. Now, obviously, most of you don't have access to an area where you can train these things where you shoot. But I have to say, I spend much more time working the movement patterns with an unloaded gun or with snap caps. Being able to shoot is just icing on the cake, so to speak. Now, hit point shooting. This is very practical at close quarters because within 4 yards, you don't want that gun sticking out like that because that gives someone the opportunity to grab that gun and defeat that gun. And listen, you know, I'm an old man, but if you got this gun within my area of space, you're in for a fight. You're in my, like I used to tell my law enforcement students, somebody sticks a gun in my face or in my back, you're in my world now. All right, so what you want to do from the hip, you want to make sure that you don't try to aim, because you want to lock it in, not so tight that you tense up, but you lock it in and you look at your target. And where I messed up on that first string, I was thinking too much about getting that second grip for that shot to the head, whereas I should have just relaxed, looked at where I was shooting at, and then I could extend my arm out and for that shot to the center of the head. Now, another thing we did, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, is moving to the left, because people who are right-handed, and 90% of the people in the world are right-handed, they normally shoot low and to their right. So what you're doing, you're moving, and then you're sliding that other foot up. And the reason I did that, I had been practicing where I was just lunging to one side or the other, and somebody made a good point, Greg, you're still leaving your leg out extended. So it's not that hard to take that little shuffle step over to either side. Now, why practice to the right? The reason for that is that someone who has a bludgeon or has a knife, or a machete or some type of bladed weapon, they're going to have to turn. If you move to your right, they're going to have to turn. And that's going to give you just a fraction of a second more to be able to get those shots on target. So hopefully I've given you something to think about. You may not agree with anything I've said, but that's okay too. But maybe give you something to think about, practice, train. And this is Greg with Lionquest Fitness.